Hi, everybody. We are in the If Gathering offices, Lindsay Nobles
Hey.
and we have a really fun special treat for you and for us. We get to have lunch with our friend, Shauna Niequist. And unfortunately, that is through technology, but we'll take it because it is live and real that we are talking, and also that we are sharing sandwiches. And one thing we're going to get to talk about today is Present Over Perfect and her incredible book that's about to come out. And so we can't wait for you all to pick it up, to read it. It's incredible. And it really addresses a thing that we all struggle with weariness and just being at the end of our rope, and we don't even necessarily know why. So I know
I'm in the middle of it right now, and I'm like, have been underlining everything. It's like, yes, tired, weary, less, not more. And so it's been really convicting, but so good.
Yeah. So Shauna, hey.
Hey, how are you guys? It's good to see you, even from far away.
I know.
Where are you? Is that home?
This is my kitchen table. Yeah. So yeah, I'm totally at home.
And I'm impressed with your cookbook collection behind your head. Is that cookbooks?
It's cookbooks, and it goes all the way around, like the top of I have a weird book habit, both regular books and cookbooks. And so it's literally like they're in the guest room, they're in the guest bathroom, they're on the steps, they're above the cabinets. I have kind of our house is one big bookshelf.
My house is like that too. What is your very favorite cookbook? Like, what's the one you could not live without?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, I have two different functions. What are the ones I read when I'm cranky, and what are the ones that I cook from? And they're totally different. If I am just like at my wit's end, like my husband knows like something terrible has happened if I am in bed with a Nigella Lawson cookbook. Yeah. Because it's just the way she talks about like food and nourishment and connection, I just like totally my jam. But I never make her recipes because they're like kind of English, and they like call for duck fat and things I don't have around the house. But then for cooking, actual like in the kitchen, I don't think there is a Barefoot Contessa recipe that doesn't work. Like it just, I think 100% of her recipes are yummy and easy. So.
And she's fun and lovely, and
I am crazy about her.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive in. I want to just say too that this is such a common need. I mean, I know that you say that you look around. It's not just that you felt this inside, but you looked around and saw it in other people's lives too. And this is, I just think it is, if it wasn't written for me, Shauna, then there's a lot of people that are struggling with the same things that I am too. So I'm grateful for you pouring into this and going on this journey. Why don't we start by just where you were when you were kind of in this low place that you wanted to write from and solve? Well,
I like anything, there were like little signs along the way, but if you're living the way I was, you're not paying attention to little signs, you know? So looking back, there were all these little signs, but then there was sort of a moment when I realized the way my life feels does not match the values I hold for my life. So what I feel is exhausted and cranky, and I could cry at a moment's notice, and everything feels heavy. And what I want, like if you asked me when I was 20, who do I want to be as I'm approaching 40? I would say, I want to be playful. I want to be spontaneous. I want to have a deep sense of joy. I want to revel in God's goodness. I want to be a person who walks lightly and happily on the earth, you know? And my life did not look like that at all. And so I realized that sort of the good news and the bad news is I created that. That's the bad news. The good news, I can recreate it. So it's been an almost 4-year journey of kind of remaking my life from the inside out so that it squares with the values that are my most deeply held North Stars.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that leads us to what those values are. What do you feel like those things that are non-negotiable for you, that you want in your life?
I think a lot of it for me, and where I really got off track, is the ability to be well connected in a deep way to the people that God has entrusted me to and to me. A deep sense of being present with the people that matter most to me, and a deep ability to connect with God in the world that He made. Mm-hmm. At my best, I love to experience the beauty of the world God made, and I love to be with people and learn from them and listen to their stories and make them feel comfortable. But I found myself, without intending to, instead of my deepest values being connection with people and connection with God, if you looked at my life, you'd say her deepest values are work, multitasking, efficiency, proving her worth, that I judged my success in a given day, but how much I was able to get done, not how meaningfully I was able to connect with God, with the people he put in my life, and with the world that he made.
That's really good.
Yeah. I think the one thing that's really resonated with me is the idea that sort of women aren't great at self-care, and that we really have to almost be our own protectors. How have you, what changes have you made to do a better job of taking care of yourself?
Well, I don't know. One thing that happened was I was watching my husband, somehow had this authority and agency over his life that seemed like really healthy and great. Like when he needed to go for a run, he went for a run. And when he needed to stop working, he stopped working. And when he needed to rest his body, he rested his body. And it made me so mad, right? Like what kind of world are you living in? Like I needed a shower 11 days ago, you know? And then we had kind of a turning point where instead of being mad at him or jealous of him, I started to imitate him. And I started to say, it seems that he thinks his soul and body and dreams are worth listening to, and the needs he feels are worth meeting. Well, that sounds insane. Let's try that. And so I followed his example, and a lot of it for me has been about rest, like just plain old, I work less than I used to, and I rest more than I used to, and it changes everything. Like my kids will tell you, I'm a different mom now because I have more space and margin to be connected with them when they need me. But I would say a lot of it's about time and rest and hours and to-do lists, but deeper than that, a lot of it is about a deep grounding in God's unconditional love. And that's what sort of surprised me along the way. I knew I needed to learn new life skills. I knew I needed new habits. I did not understand that like the very foundation of who I was would sort of have to be excavated and then rebuilt. And that's really the piece that changed everything, was relearning life as a deeply loved daughter of God, not simply a disciplined soldier for God. For me, that transition has made all the difference.
What do you think some of the barriers are for women as they consider, there's some people watching right now that probably they hear the word rest and they literally want to write it down in their day planner and, put a check mark beside it. So what do you think some of the tensions are to really stopping this kind of rat race that we all feel like we're in?
Well, I would say I never want to communicate to anyone that I'm such an evolved contemplative person that I chose this magical journey. I totally changed out of desperation, right? So whatever the barriers that most women feel, I felt them all. And at a certain point, it just didn't matter anymore. And so out of a deep sense of, I think I had a conversation with my dad where I said, I'm kind of afraid of what's happening inside of me. I'm kind of afraid of the person that I've become. And I will do anything to reclaim the woman I believe God made me to be. And so I think there is tons of cultural pressure, and a lot of it comes down to our identities, right? So without meaning to, I developed an identity where, Shauna, she's a girl who can get it done. She's a utility player. She shows up. She's the first one there and the last one to leave. You can depend on her. She'll never miss a deadline. She's a heavy lifter. Whatever all those messages were, I taped them onto my chest at this is who I am in the world, guys. I'm not this, I'm not that. There are a million other things I wish I was, but okay, at least I'm this. And then in order to keep being that, I did real damage to my own soul and my own relationships. And so now I feel like a lot of the work, if you stay with that visual, is taking off those labels. You know what I am? I'm a hard worker, but I'm also a good friend. And sometimes I'm tired. And sometimes I don't have a lot to give, and sometimes I do. And I just wear all those labels, a million of them now. Yeah. And that's okay. And none of them are the thing that defines me and gives me value, the thing that defines me and gives me value is that I was created by God, period. I was made by his hands the same as every other person, and that's where my value lies. And when I start the day in that place, the other labels and identities are not nearly as important.
Practically, what does like this idea of rest, like what does rest look like for you? I mean, even like we talk about it, like, but you describe it in the book of like you would be at home, but you'd be doing laundry and all these other things. What does rest look like now?
Yeah, and you bring up laundry. Like, really, rest for me a lot of times is the conscious choice to leave things undone, and to trust that my value does not lay in completing the tasks, but in bringing a well-tended soul to the people who need me. So for real, I could show you all of the dirty dishes in the sink right now that I didn't do before we talked because I needed a little space to think and pray and rest my body. And I could show you the laundry that's not getting done. And I could show you, like, we have made a lot of changes around our, like, my publishing schedule has dramatically slowed down. And so it's about learning. One thing we talk about is learning to disappoint people.
Yeah.
I've been in like a 3-year like reorientation process. I trained a whole group of people to see me as just like, get it done, right? And then all of a sudden I said, hey, guess what, you guys? Still gonna get stuff done a lot slower. Sometimes I'm gonna say yes to things and sometimes I'm gonna say no. Sometimes I'm gonna need a little time to make a decision. Sometimes we're gonna do takeout like 5 nights in a row. Sometimes, but for those of us who have measured our worth in terms of getting things done, a lot of it is just as plain and simple as the discipline of leaving things undone in order to tend to my soul and spirit.
I just am very comforted right now, Shauna, that you said that you might do takeout 5 nights a week. That just makes me like you so much. Because with all your cookbooks, I was afraid it was like every night, because I've seen some of your photos on Instagram, and I know you can when you bring it, you bring it.
And I do it when I want to, and when it feels. And actually, cooking for me is genuinely a restorative, fun. I like to do it. It relaxes me. It feels creative. But even still, sometimes there's just not time for it. And so I think some of it is paying attention to what you love and what you don't. Yeah. So I probably cook more than the average person just because I like it better, not because I'm better. But even things you love sometimes. And I think that's been a big thing for me. I have always known how to recreate pretty well. Like, I know how to play. I don't totally know how to rest. Yep. And that's been a big part of this journey is, like, we throw a lot of parties. You can't necessarily call that rest, Yeah. And so we've had to really take that seriously and say, okay, we've got the work hard, play hard thing now. What does it mean to really rest? And it looks a lot of different ways for different people. And I think some of that is the permission to say it can look different for different people.
Mm-hmm. So when you are blank, you are most rested. What is that statement for you outside of identity? Because I think you covered that well. What is something you just love to do or a place you love to be?
Well, I love to be on the water. It can basically be like a puddle, and I'm happy. Like, just being anywhere near the water really connects me to God's presence and makes me feel calm. Then the other thing I would say is reading. I am like a super hardcore bookworm, and fiction especially really nourishes me. And so even like this week, and it sounds insane, book coming out with all this stuff going on, I made sure that I had downloaded several good novels, because if I have 15 minutes in between things, instead of like scurrying around the house or trying to, get 16 more emails out, to read for 15 minutes sort of lowers like my RPMs down to where I can connect and feel again in a good way.
I just think about all the women that would say, maybe they would admit this or maybe they wouldn't, that would struggle with anxiety, and how this is kind of a root to that. And what you would say to them when they're looking at their lives and going, gosh, I don't even know how to stop this, the fears and the anxiety and the worry and the stress that I have in my life.
Well, I was kind of one of those people who, I was like, yeah, I'm busy all the time and my life feels sort of chaotic all the time. Like, what a weird thing to happen to me. And then as I started consciously to slow down my life, and specifically as I started the practice of silence and solitude, I realized like, oh, this isn't just like cultural pressure. I'm creating the busyness and I'm creating the chaos because I don't want to face some things that I find in the silence.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like that girl who's always like, the drama just finds me. And then you watch her and you're like, okay. I, for a lot of years, was like, I don't know, just the busyness finds me. No, I create and recreate and perpetuate the busyness because I don't always want to face what I find in the silence. And so that was where I feel like the real deep work happened, where I had to bring some of those fears and anxieties to a counselor, to a spiritual director, to my husband, to God in prayer, and say like, I'm willing to face these now. And if you can help heal these and bind these things up, then I won't always have to be afraid of the silence. And so it started off as I avoided it. And then it was like, oh, now I'm really afraid of it. And I know why, right? Because I know what's there. And now I would say silence, and specifically prayer, is the safest, softest place in my life. And that has never been true for me. I've always felt the safest in a crowd with really loud music. You know, like just the more barriers, the more insulation from having to really feel anything hard or difficult. And now I find that I seek silence and kind of solitude with God in little moments throughout my day to bring me back to myself. And that's a new thing and something I'm really, really thankful for.
Are there tools for spiritual direction and silence that you found?
You know, the really basic practice that's been super helpful for me, and I almost don't want to talk about it because I'm such a hack. I mean, it's like I barely know how to do it, but the practice of centering prayer has been really important for me. Thomas Keating has written a ton about it. I'm like a baby stepping into it, but it's essentially, you know, there's all different ways to pray. And I think the way a lot of us pray is talking to God, and that's totally part of it. And this is sort of consciously making space, slowing your mind and your heart and your anxieties to focus on one name or attribute of God. Mm-hmm. And to sort of say like, yes, there's all this, there's all my feelings, all my fears, but just for a minute, I want to try to get this attribute of who God is to be the biggest reality in my life, to be the thing that showers over or covers over all my fear, all my anxiety, all the things I want to say to you. And so for me, and again, there's a million different ways to do it, but I picture a red heart, like a 5-year-old would draw, like a little red heart. And I let God remind me, there's nothing I can do in this day to gain or earn more love. Nothing. I'm already full to the brim. There could not cosmically ever be more. And there's nothing I can do in this day to ruin or squander your love. I can't. No mistake I could make, no failure, no sin, no nothing I forget, nothing I drop. My love, the love that God gives to me is totally secure no matter what I do in a day. And when I start in that place, I start my day in even 5 minutes of centering prayer that way, then I feel really free the rest of the day, right? Like I can work really hard doing work I love, or I can rest, or I can play, or I can try something and fail, but my worth was never on the line. And I feel like that's changing everything.
That's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the book.
Yes.
The release date is
a week from today, August 9th.
Awesome. And I know people are really excited to get it. And we actually have a link right below this that you can click on it and get it. Barnes & Noble is a good spot to go and pick this up and pre-order it so you can get it. I mean, hopefully the way it usually works is about the day or the day after release, it'll show up on your doorstep if you go ahead and pre-order it. So do not miss this.
So good.
It is so good. I just feel like, Shauna, what I love is that, you know, I'm picturing how many women will read it and what will happen, you know, because of that, and how this hopeful piece will kind of go out through this. And I think more than peace too, it's worth. It's security in who God is and what he feels for us. But what do you hope happens as people get their hands on this and multitudes of women are going to read it?
You know, I think my biggest kind of dream or prayer for it is that people would feel freedom and permission to live according to the identity and the values that God placed inside of them. I think there's so much pressure for us to all be all running really fast, all building really aggressive things, all whatever. And those are such good things. And if God made you to live a really fast, exciting, building life, absolutely, then do it. But I think there are a lot of us who crave different ways of living but feel the pressure to live at a faster pace and a higher level of complexity than God made us to run at. And so I think I hope that this inspires each one of us to say, God, who did you make exactly me to be in exactly this season? And how can I let the voices of other people, the pressures, the expectations become really quiet? And how can the truth of what you say about me and what you call me to get really, really loud?
So good. So we have a few questions from people.
From the internet.
The internet. You ready? Okay. This is from Mary Scott Mercer. If she could make one meal for her cooking club, what would it be? Or what has been the most fun cooking club menu yet?
Ooh.
Very important
question. Well, one of my favorites for the cooking club is we always do the week before Thanksgiving, we do a Thanksgiving dinner all together. And some of it is like practicing our recipes for families, but also some of it is like making things that you know your kids would never eat or like your in-laws would never eat, you know? So you make like a weird oyster stuffing when your family really just wants the regular one, or, you know, but it's such a fun thing to kind of start. We feel like we get to start the holiday season like a full 10 days early. Because the Sunday, 10 days out from Thanksgiving, we have a turkey and we have all that stuff. So that's one of my favorite memories. But then I would say I make tacos for everyone all the time. That's just like my always go-to.
They're so good. Never go wrong with tacos.
Never.
Okay, Emily Davis asked, how do you invite and encourage singles into your life and with your married life circle of friends?
You know, that's such an interesting question. Two of the people I'm closest to in my life are single. And so it doesn't necessarily feel like an extra effort. It feels like just normal life. So two of the people I spend most time with in my whole entire life are single. And that's really important to me. And I do think all of us, the true heart of hospitality is always looking around your table and asking who's missing. Are there people that don't feel welcome at my table? And so I think for some people, if you look around your table and it's all couples, absolutely make sure that there are 2 or 3 single people around your table. And then some of it too is I just really enjoy being around single people. I like talking about the ways that their lives are different and the freedom to travel at a moment's notice. And so we have, I would say, a large amount of single people that we love in our life. And if that's an important value to us.
That's awesome.
Okay, let's see. Emily Davis. That's it. Sorry. Okay, Katie asked this. As you have been learning to be present over perfect, how do you say no to opportunities or situations with grace, or know what to say yes to?
Yeah, I'd say one of the things that maybe the 2 things that help me most are time. I almost always try to buy myself some time, because if not, I'll just say yes. Because it's a little hard in the moment for me to remember that I'm supposed to say no. So buying myself a little bit of time, even hey, let me just check with my husband or get back to you, or hey, let me check our schedule, helps me then get a little is this something I'm supposed to do? And then we've been talking a lot in our family about the concentric circles. Kind of just like the nature of life is you are going to disappoint someone. Every yes means a no to something else, and there's only a certain amount of time and whatever. And so at the center of the circle is myself, my relationship with God, my husband, and my boys. That's the center of the circle. Then my parents, my brother, my very best friends, then my wider extended family and neighborhood, and it goes out from there. And my goal is that I know I'm going to disappoint somebody. I want to disappoint that inner circle as rarely as possible. Mm-hmm. And I want to get really good at lovingly, graciously disappointing people on the furthest edges of that circle. And it's hard, but these are the people that deserve my very best. And that's something I've gotten wrong a lot of times over the years, and something I'm working really hard on right now.
Mm. Good. Okay, Lisa Turkhurst. I know, so fun. Was there a moment where you suddenly realized no more doing life this way? I want to be present over perfect.
Yeah, and she and I have talked about this a lot, which is so fun, but there was a moment in the middle of, I was speaking at a retreat, and I went back up to my hotel room in the middle And I laid down on the bed, shoes on, looked up at the ceiling, and I just said, if somebody else would like to live this life that I have created for myself, they're more than welcome to it, but I don't want it anymore. I picture it like a wagon, and I loaded things into that wagon, family and writing and speaking and traveling and deadlines and responsibilities and volunteering, and pretty soon you start to yank it and it won't even move, and you realize I'm responsible for having created a life that I can't sustain. And so it was in that moment in Dallas, I went home and I had conversations with my husband, my dad, my mentor, and my small group. And essentially, I was almost asking permission. Like, I'm going to find a really new way to live, and it's going to look really different. I just want to let you know that that's coming. And it's probably going to be kind of messy, and I won't really know how to do it right. But I'm done with that way of living, and I'm trusting that there's a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Were they surprised when you had those conversations? That
They were awesome. My mentor actually said, she was the one who said to me, stop right now, remake your life from the inside out. And those words have been so important for me. And then my small group, one of the guys, and it's an amazing small group, but they're like really impressive people. They're like elders at my church and like really fancy business jobs and worship leaders and graduate degrees and like all these things. So they're like people I really respect. And I told them, like, guys, I'm out. I'm not gonna, I can't keep up with you. I can't keep a schedule like yours. I think I was made to live a different way, and I'm gonna start trying it. And I think at the end, I'm gonna end up really peaceful and grateful, but it might be really messy in the middle. And one of the guys leans forward, he's really quiet, but he says, Shauna, we were never impressed with you. We just love you, and that's different.
Mm.
And I think about how many of us have longed for love, but have settled for being impressive because we can control. Because you don't really have to be seen in order to be loved. You don't really have to connect in a deep way.
Yeah.
It's easier to just achieve and achieve and achieve and have people think things about you from a distance. And so I keep those words with me. We were never impressed with you. We love you, and that's different.
Mm.
so good.
Do you feel like you've gotten to that place now, or do you feel like you're still in process with the peace? I haven't read the end of the book yet.
Yeah.
With the peace and the gratitude. Like, do you feel like you've landed in that spot, or do you feel like it's just always going to be a work in progress?
You know, I think both. I think there are concrete changes. So there are things there are ways of living I will never go back to, for real. At the same time, you guys know this, the couple weeks of a book release, that's a challenge. And I would say I am working every day as hard as I can to work out of peace and groundedness and connection to God and to people. And my impulse is totally like, it's go time. Like, that was nice during the summer, but let's kick it up into high gear. And I'm really resisting that. I'm setting up my schedule a new way. I'm asking for help in new ways. I've set up the release plan in a different way, believing that, you know, Richard Rohr says the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So I don't want there to be like, I'm totally living this except book week, right? Come on. You either live it all the time or you don't. You either live it even in the busiest weeks of your life or you don't. And so I'm very conscious of that right now, that I'm working really hard to train my mind and my heart to do this in a different way, in a sweeter, more connected, more gracious way.
Well, I love that you say that, because I feel like what can happen is, it seems like every time I learned to quit saying, I will be more available when blank is over, because as soon as that's over, all that's happened is now other things have piled up.
Yep.
And
totally.
And you will never quit. I mean, there's just never a time. So it's almost like we have to learn how to be present in the midst of the things that God's called us to, and not just wait for a season with tons of space, even though I just don't know if that season's coming. Maybe it is.
I think that season's not coming unless we make it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've got a couple busy things this fall. And so we've set aside, I'm going to do a date with each of my boys during every one of those busy weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So because I for years I've been saying, like, hey guys, it's going to be cool later. They're going to be like in college, you know?
Yeah.
And so I want to make the life that connects with my values now, not just when I think it's going to be easier later. Because it's the making of the life now that determines how it's going to be later, I think. I mean, at least that's how I'm trying to do it.
It's good.
So this is kind of off track, but I want to know about the fiction that you're reading. I am the same way that like I love that is like probably my most restful is when I'm like devouring a novel that I can't put down. And so what are the best novels you've read this summer?
Well, right now I'm reading Homegoing.
Okay.
And I haven't finished it yet, but I really, really like it. I just downloaded, is it Colin Whitehead's book, The Underground Railroad?
Oh, I haven't.
I'm really excited about that. There was, and I would never name names because I don't do this. There were several books I read this summer that I genuinely hated, so I will not recommend those to you. Okay. There's like a bad run this summer. But I did really enjoy, Ellen Hildebrand writes some of my favorite, like kind of like beachy, she's writing from Nantucket. And her most recent is called Here's to Us. And I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So,
yeah, I read that one too. I loved it.
I liked it, yeah. I think she's great.
Fun, light, easy.
Yep.
I just read Circling the Sun too.
I really liked that.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Shauna, would you ever write a fiction book?
You know, it's funny that you say that. I would love to. I think I change my mind every day. I think next will probably be like a full big cookbook. You know, sometimes you finish a book project, like you finish a Bread and Wine, and you're like, well, done with that. But my feelings about hospitality are only growing stronger and more clear. And so I would love the chance to do like a full-on, full-color photograph cookbook. And I might do that next. And then sometime in my life, I will do fiction. It feels really unknown, but really exciting. Yeah.
That sounds so fun. Like I want to read about just the lake and like, it would be so fun.
Yeah, you need to do that. That is not something I could ever do in a million years.
Well, I don't know if I could either, but I would at least like to try.
Yeah, that's great.
I love it.
What else? Is there anything else we need to do, Ames, in the background? Okay.
The boss of everything.
Making sure we don't forget. So everybody go buy Present Over Perfect on next Tuesday, or you can hit the link below to pre-order it from Barnes & Noble. You will want this as soon as you can get it. So that's probably the best option right now for you.
And I'm going to see you guys in February.
Yes.
I'm really, really excited about that.
Which will be here before we know it.
I know.
Life, it goes so fast. Summer is almost over. Are your kids going back to school soon?
You know, they don't go back for maybe 3 more weeks. I think
Yeah.
you guys go back a little earlier.
No, mine go back in 3 more weeks too. And I've been seeing all these people with sending their kids back, and it's making me sad because I feel like we've still got some time before.
I'm not ready for all the first day of school.
No, there were a whole bunch.
Another couple weeks.
Yeah.
Takes over.
You know, one of my favorite moments of the summer was that Lindsay came to my husband's 40th birthday party. It was so fun to see you come around that corner.
I loved it so much. And I can't get over it that there was a giant frog that the guys had like caught.
It was like a full deep dive into Midwestern summer. It was like,
Also was this like special presentation of a birthday gift that we're all like, what is it? It's going to be something that like means a lot. And it was a laser.
it was a laser.
What kind of laser?
You would think that he had like found gold. Like,
What does the laser do?
it was so funny.
I have no idea. So it was from Aaron's little brother to Aaron. And I still don't understand why he gave it to him or why he's so excited about it. But every male person I talked to was like, seriously, a laser? You don't know why that's amazing? And I'm like, no, I genuinely don't.
What are the rules that you've had to establish around the laser?
There have been a lot of rules. One of them also, it's like a military grade laser, I feel. Like I think it's go to jail. Like I think it's on an airplane, bye-bye. So yeah. So the kids are not allowed to open it out of its special box.
Okay.
I don't
So cool.
You just gave any boys watching a new dream.
Seriously.
That's awesome. Well, we can't wait to be with you in February and hopefully some before then. And thank you so much for joining us today. Y'all, again, there are links to pre-order the book below and also to sign up for more information. So everybody have a great Tuesday.